Today we're kicking off our team previews for the upcoming World Junior Championships with kickoff here on Boxing Day, December the 26th. Today we're going to get started with Team Canada, last year's defending champion. We'll discuss their roster coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams plus international tournaments. So if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. As I mentioned off the top, today we're going to get started with some team previews for the upcoming World Junior Championships. Obviously, NHL hockey is still going on, but there's not a whole lot of news going on right now in the NHL with the roster freeze in effect. Yesterday, we just kind of talked about the last round of what we likely have to expect for NHL trade rumors, that kind of thing. So barring some other big NHL news, we're likely going to start focusing more on this tournament. There likely will still be maybe one or two more videos over the next couple of days discussing the ongoings of the NHL, but I want to start focusing on this tournament as well. It's a lot of fun, and as I've mentioned here a few times, if it's a tournament you haven't watched in the past, you definitely want to get involved. It's a lot of fun. You get the top junior age players. A lot of these guys were the top picks from the 2018 draft. Some of them were high picks in the 2017 draft, playing their final year of junior. And you're going to see a little bit of some players, too, that haven't been drafted yet for the upcoming 2019 and even 2020 drafts for some of these exceptional players that are playing especially high-end for their age group. So I highly recommend you check it out. If you live in Canada, it's covered quite widely on TSN, and I'm sure there's other networks across the world in other countries covering it as well. So highly recommend you have time to check it out if at all possible. So today, like I said, we want to do a team preview here for Team Canada. We will be doing team previews for other countries as well. Definitely going to be focused on Team USA, Team Finland, Team Sweden, probably Team Czech Republic. Some of the countries I might put together in one video because I'm mainly going to focus on the players in those rosters that we're more familiar with here, that have an affiliation to the NHL, which is where the bulk of our audience here mainly watches for. So some of those previews might be lumped together, but we'll see here once I go through all the rosters just how many of them have NHL affiliations, and we'll kind of go from there. But getting started with Team Canada, let's start with their goaltenders. They have two really solid goalies in Michael DiPietro and Ian Scott. Of course, Michael DiPietro, as a Vancouver Canucks prospect, certainly has quite a good resume to his name. Unfortunately, he was cut from last year's team. Carter Hart was the main starting goalie for Canada last year, took care of a lot of the big games for the Canadian squad. But DiPietro is certainly very capable. He was a 2017 Memorial Cup champion and top goalie in that tournament. The Canucks are quite excited to have him. So not only do they have Thatcher Demko in their system, but they got Mikey DiPietro coming as well. He's got a lot of personality too, and I think he's going to be a big star in the NHL someday. So he is expected to be the starter, but the goalie who's expected right now to be his backup, Ian Scott, is certainly no slouch and very well can take over. I'm sure that he will get some playing time, and it's not really a foregone conclusion that DiPietro will be the main guy and get the bulk of the games here. I know in the past, especially during the round robin tournament part of the section of the tournament, we usually have seen Team Canada kind of rotate and give each goalie some games for sure and some ice time. So Scott is probably the top goalie in the Canadian Junior Hockey Leagues right now this season. Of course, he's a Toronto Maple Leafs prospect. Just signed his entry-level deal just in the last few days here with the Leafs as well. So very exciting time for him getting to go to Team Canada, signed his contract to Leafs. Certainly looks to have a very bright future as well. So far this year, he's played 25 junior games, got a record of 23-2. He's got 4 shutouts, a .943 save percentage, and a goals against average of only 1.6. So he's doing absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, he's arguably the top goalie in Canadian junior hockey right now. So Canada, as always, has been pretty fortunate here to have some pretty solid goalies in the past. And this year, their tandem is no different. Now, of course, Team Canada, as you probably remember, are the defending champions. And I do think that they have an excellent shot at repeating as gold medalists here. But it's certainly not going to be easy for sure. And as we get into the other countries and look at who else is in this tournament, you'll see that it certainly will be no easy task. But I do think it's quite possible. Now, one thing that Team Canada might have kind of going against it this year, they're going to have a younger, inexperienced group. They don't have a whole lot for returning players. There's really only the one. They were hoping to have multiple, but some guys didn't get released from the NHL and we had some injuries. And we'll get into those guys here in a few minutes, but certainly not going to be a lot of experience on this team this year. Now let's jump over and take a look at the defense score and who they have leading the way on the back end. Now, the couple of the higher profile named defensemen were guys that went high in the 2018 NHL draft, like Evan Bouchard, for example, who we saw would be drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. Got a nice look at the NHL, got a little taste of some NHL action with the Oilers this year. Didn't look too bad, scored his first NHL goal. Of course, he's part of the London Knights program, which is an incredibly strong program in the Ontario Hockey League, probably one of the better teams, led by the Hunter boys, who are certainly excellent for spotting talent and developing NHL skill. That program has probably put up more NHL players in the last decade than just about any other team in junior hockey, just about anywhere. So those guys are phenomenal at drafting the guys up from the lower levels and developing them into NHL draftees as well. So keep your eye for Evan Bouchard. He'll likely be one of the top guys, get a lot of power play time. Of course, another guy to watch for is Noah Dobson, who was also a high first-round pick by the Islanders in the 2018 draft. Now, Noah Dobson's a 2018 Memorial Cup champion with Acadie Bathurst last year. They were a bit of a surprise team, but they won the Quebec League, went on to the tournament, and won. Of course, that Acadie Bathurst team's quite a bit different this year. A lot of their top players last year were seniors, so they're done in junior league. And their team is struggling hardcore this year. Not a whole lot of wins going on in Acadie Bathurst right now. So it is believed when Dobson returns to junior once the World Juniors are completed that he is going to be traded. And Acadie Bathurst is going to move on and probably get a whole bunch of draft picks in return. And he'll have another shot to go on with a stronger team in the Quebec League and hopefully have a shot at repeating as league champions and maybe seeing if he can make it back to the Memorial Cup. But Noah Dobson will be an NHL star. I have no doubt. He's a tremendous all-around defenseman. He's good on the offensive side and he's pretty good on the defensive side too. So Dobson and Bouchard, certainly two of your higher profile defenders. Another one is Ty Smith from the Western Hockey League, having another excellent season. Of course, he was drafted in the first round last year as well by the Devils. Smith's an excellent skater, works hard, has some leadership qualities for sure. He's been a captain for Canada at other levels in the past, so would not be surprised to see him part of the leadership group. But then again, there's a lot of players that can fall into that category as well this year, so hard to say exactly who wears the letters for Canada this year. A lot of good choices for sure, Smith being one of them. So we'll see. But Ty Smith's very quick, good skater, having another excellent season in the WHL for sure. So again, no surprises that he's on this team. You get Josh Brook from the Montreal Canadiens, another solid defenseman as well. I know the Habs are quite excited about Brook. Of course, we also have another Habs prospect we'll touch on here momentarily in the forward group as well. So I know Montreal Canadiens fans have a lot to be excited for with a couple of these prospects that are going to be playing fairly big roles for Team Canada. I do expect Brook to get a lot of ice time and be an important piece on that decor for Team Canada. Now you've also got Ian Mitchell, a Chicago Blackhawks second-round pick, playing out of the University of Denver as well. He was able to make this team, so I do expect him. He'll probably play a little lower in the lineup, probably a 5-6 guy, maybe a 7 guy. But either way, Mitchell's certainly going to play a fairly important role because in this types of tournaments, you get everybody involved usually, and you get one little injury kind of throws everything out, and some players might have gone into the tournament playing a lower role and worked their way up big time. So we've seen that happen quite a bit as well. We also got Jared Macisaac, a Halifax Mooseheads defenseman, who was an early second-round pick of the Detroit Red Wings. Macisaac was another guy I felt the Red Wings did a really good job with their drafting in 2018. They had Phillips Zadina kind of fall into their lap. And then, of course, later into the late first round, into the beginning of the second round, they ended up grabbing Jared Macisaac and Joe Veleno both. So, I mean, I thought the Wings had an excellent 2018 draft in the first couple rounds for sure. Macisaac's another guy who probably play a little bit lower role, but he's just does all the little things well. Not a flashy defenseman by any means, but he gets the job done. He knows how to make the right plays, a smart defender. Can chip in on the offense a little bit too, but more so just for being a steady rear guard back there. So Macisaac, as well, like all the others, will be a big part of Team Canada's defense. And the last defenseman we want to touch on here for their decors, Marcus Phillips from the OHL's Owen Sound team. Another guy like Macisaac, not overly flashy, but he does all the little things really well. Just a solid all-around defender. So they, likely, except between him and Macisaac and Mitchell, they'll probably be your 5, 6, 7 guys, but they're all going to be very important, very steady. Now, some of the other defenders who were invited to selection camp for Team Canada but that did not make the cut include Kalen Addison, who was a Penguins draft pick. You got Jacob Bernard-Docker, who was drafted by the Ottawa Senators, playing in the NCAA. He's having a pretty solid year. It's a little bit surprised. I thought he might stand a good chance to make it, but unfortunately, there's just too many solid players there. You got Pierre-Olivier Joseph as well, playing in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. He's having a fantastic season. Of course, he's the younger brother of Tampa Bay rookie Matthew Joseph. So another guy that would have been a good choice, as well as Nikolai Baudouin, who was drafted by the Blackhawks. So they had some tough choices to make. They easily had 3 or 4 other guys who could have made this defense core and been probably just as solid, but that is your defense core here for Team Canada. Now, jumping over to the forward group, Team Canada looks absolutely stacked here. Yet again, they have all kinds of guys who can play center ice, so a lot of these guys are going to end up playing wing. A few of these guys are naturally wingers, but they have a lot of guys who are going to be playing the wing that normally play center, which is not an unusual thing at all. So they're well stacked with guys in that regard. They have a pretty good mix here of guys that have high skill, high work ethic, good snipers. They have a really good well-rounded forward group here, in my opinion. The guys most likely to play center here are going to be led by Cody Glass up front. Cody Glass is really starting to mature and come to his own, show some more leadership skills. Of course, he's a Vegas Golden Knights first-round pick from a couple years back. I fully suspect next year he'll go into Vegas and make that team for sure. It was debatable this year. I thought he might have a shot, but they sent him back to the WHL to play one more year of junior. This will be his opportunity here with Team Canada. Obviously, he didn't make the team last year, so it was a big opportunity for him not only to make the team, but play a very prominent role and could very well be their #1 center on this team. So Cody Glass expected to play a big role here for Team Canada. Now, another guy who had a Vegas connection, which is Nick Suzuki, who I mentioned was the other Habs prospect on this team, who's going to be playing a highly profile role as well. Suzuki very well could end up playing a little bit on the wing as well, but more than likely, I think he could be a center iceman for them, and very well could play on that second line. There has been some talk he could even play wing with Cody Glass potentially, so not sure exactly how they're going to get their lines drawn up here, and they could certainly give the team some different looks throughout the tournament as well. But Suzuki obviously is a pretty flashy playmaker, great skater, was another first-round pick of the Golden Knights in their first draft. Traded to the Habs during that Max Pacioretty deal. So Habs certainly have, so Montreal fans certainly have a reason to be excited about him. So between him and Josh Brook, Habs fans certainly have a keen interest to watch in this tournament and see their young stars develop. And of course, we also have Baird Hayden, who was a bit of a surprise higher pick in the 2018 NHL draft to the Arizona Coyotes, having a pretty solid year with Sault Ste. Marie as well. So Hayden likely going to be playing in a second and third line center role as well. Now, playing that fourth line center role, we're likely going to have Bruins prospect Jan Studnicka, who's from Oshawa in the OHL as well. He's a pretty solid two-way center, likely going to be playing that fourth line role. I mean, he could end up getting things moved around here, but right now I believe he's likely going to play fourth line center for Team Canada. Now, let's take a look at the guys likely going to play on the wings with these guys here. Like I said, they could give different looks. They have a lot of guys that can play center, so they can move things around real easy here. On the wing, you've got returning player Maxime Comtois, who's going to be an excellent shot here, possibly being the team captain, the only returning player from last year. Ended up going to the Anaheim camp this year, had a strong showing, made the NHL team out of training camp. Was looking really solid. I was a little bit surprised they sent him back to junior, but he got a chance to get his feet wet, played really well. The Ducks were having a lot of injuries, which gave him more playing time, but as they started to get their team more healthy, they decided it was best for the team, best for him to go back. And of course, he can hopefully lead Team Canada back to gold here, but he's a really hard-working guy with some offensive abilities. He can kind of be a good forechecker, kind of a pesty type of player, hard to play against for sure. So Comtois is going to play an even bigger role this year than he did last year for Team Canada when they won the gold medal. You've got Owen Tippett as well from the Florida Panthers prospect pool. Tippett does have some NHL games under his belt, but this year didn't get any. But last year he played in 7 games, but back to junior. Tippett, in my opinion, is just a pure sniper. Great natural goal scorer as well. So he's likely going to see a lot of time in the top 6 forward group. Jared Edison-Dolan ended up making this team, and he's hopefully going to be healthy and ready to go here for the first game, but he was recovering from a broken wrist. They decided to keep him on the roster here, as he is expected to be good to go for game 1. And hopefully he will be. Otherwise, he may have to start the tournament as the 13th forward. But of course, the Kings prospect, pretty solid goal-scoring winger for sure. Of course, Anderson-Dolan had a really solid training camp with the LA Kings this year as well, and I was starting to see some time with them before the injury happened. So hopefully Anderson-Dolan can be good to go here for Team Canada when the tournament gets started. Now, you've also got quite a story here with forward Brett Leeson. Leeson's 19 years old, leading the Canadian Junior Hockey Leagues in scoring at an epic rate of 60 points in 27 games. This guy has flown under the radar his entire career, and he's certainly going to be labeled here as a late bloomer for sure. He's been undrafted. He's gone through 2 NHL drafts where he's been eligible and has not been selected. He's really never had any affiliation with Team Canada before in the past at the lower levels, like the U17, U18. He's never really gotten anybody's attention until earlier this year. He didn't even go to selection camp or through the summer showcase or anything like that. He's certainly a late addition to this team, but he's had an excellent camp. I was given a spot on this team, and he's likely going to shine. So Leeson's going to be a player you're going to want to keep an eye on for sure. It could be like a coming out party to the rest of the national audience here. We'll get a chance to watch him play, and it's certainly going to be interesting to see him if he can get an NHL opportunity after this, because this will be, heading into his final year of junior eligibility. So he's going to be he's certainly a free agent to keep your eye on here near the end of the season. Of course, you've also got Shane Bowers as well, who can play center or wing. Was originally a Senators draft pick, but was the prospect involved in the Matt Duchene trade, now part of the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, he's playing in the NCAA, so he's another Team Canada strong player in the forward group here as well. You got Morgan Frost, a Flyers prospect, also from Sault Ste. Marie, like teammate of Baird Hayden. Of course, Frost was another guy I thought that might have a shot making the NHL this year, but they decided to send him back and continue his development. And he's certainly been playing well with Sault Ste. Marie since he returned. He's kind of a really awesome playmaker, a razzle-dazzle kind of guy, great skater, good on his edges, and certainly can make a lot of things happen. So Morgan Frost is going to be a guy, depending where they slot him in the lineup. He can be an excellent playmaking center or playmaking winger, very versatile that way. His playmaking ability and his skating will allow him to have success no matter where they put him in this lineup. Not quite sure exactly where he'll slot yet, but regardless of where they put him, he certainly will be a force on the offensive side of the puck here for Team Canada. Of course, you're going to see youngster Alexis Lafreniere, who's only 17, who's projected to be right now the #1 overall selection in 2020. So not even the 2019 draft. There's going to be players in this tournament who are eligible to go in the first round of 2019, but he's not eligible until 2020. But he's been an exceptional player in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, doing a lot of great things. He's young. Team Canada is not expected to give him a very big role. They're probably going to start him with low number of minutes, play him lower in the lineup, kind of ease him in, where he's not even draft eligible till 2020. He's going to be in this lineup here next year as well. So next year likely will be playing a much bigger role. So they kind of want to ease him in here and see what happens. But barring injury or other players maybe not producing the way they'd like, we could certainly see him elevated throughout the tournament, playing a bigger role. But certainly keep your eye on him. Like I said, he's a 2020 #1 overall expected player to be drafted right now, at least. And so far, it's been that way for some time as well. And it's, right now, it's not looking like he has a ton of competition, but there's also a lot of time for other players to kind of step up their game and show what they're capable of as well. So, of course, we've also got Joe Veleno, who's a Detroit Red Wings prospect I mentioned earlier. The Red Wings had a really solid 2018 draft. Of course, Veleno originally started his junior career with the St. John Sea Dogs. Was an exceptional type player, got into the league a little bit early, had some great years with the Sea Dogs, but towards the end of it, before he was traded to Drummondville, kind of wasn't having a great season. The team was kind of slacking as well, not doing great. A lot of their bigger names had moved on and weren't having a great year. So once he got traded, he certainly picked things up and was rejuvenated. So this is going to be as well another opportunity for him to show that he should have been drafted higher. He slipped down quite a ways in the first round of the 2018 draft. A lot of people, myself included, were kind of confused over that, wondering why a lot of these NHL teams did not want to take the chance to snag him up when he had the opportunity. Myself, I believe he plays best when he plays with a physical style of game. Kind of similar somewhat to Max Comtois, a little bit different skill set, but same in the sense that when he's playing hard, get the speed going, forechecking type well, got the offensive abilities, good playmaker, that he can certainly play a similar type game. It can be very effective for this team given the right opportunity and the right line mates. As well, the other forward to mention here is Mckenzie Entwistle, who was a Chicago Blackhawks draft pick, who just signed his entry-level contract as well. Of course, Entwistle plays in the OHL with Hamilton. He's another hard-working type of player, great skater, can kill penalties, really play in all situations, and Entwistle was probably a little bit of a surprise pick. I think a lot of people kind of didn't see that coming. They suspected some of the other guys that were cut to maybe have a chance to make it over him, but he really gives them a little bit of a dynamic that they didn't have otherwise. Just trying to diversify this forward group. Like I said, he's an excellent penalty killer, great skater, and really can provide a different type of element that a lot of these other guys can't provide. Now, lastly, here I just want to touch on some of the forwards who aren't going to be on this team, and a couple of them are mainly due to injuries, which is a big blow for Team Canada. Starting with center iceman Gabe Vilardi, top prospect for the LA Kings, who's had a horrible year health-wise, been dealing with a back problem for an extended period of time. I know Kings fans are probably quite nervous on his prognosis here and his long-term future, because he's been battling a lot of injuries really since he's been drafted. So hopefully Vilardi can get this under control and move forward, because he could have been a huge part of this team. Would have been a top 6 forward for sure, maybe even a top line guy. Of course, the other big blow was Senators prospect Alex Formenton, who likely would have been my prediction to be the Team Canada captain had he been healthy, but he ended up getting injured during selection camp and is going to be out until after the tournament. There's just no way he would be healthy enough in time to get on the ice. So that's really big blow for Team Canada. Big blow for Formenton. That was one of the main reasons why the Senators sent him back to junior, is they figured that would be a good opportunity for his development, get back to Team Canada, play a big role, maybe be a captain, and really give him a great experience. So that's really unfortunate for him and the team both. Now, as far as some forwards who were at selection camp but did not make this roster, include another 2019 draft selection, Rafael La Voix, who had a pretty good selection camp, pretty good showing, but unfortunately didn't make this team. But again, look out for him next year. You got Liam Foudy of the OHL, who had, I thought had a good shot to make it, but unfortunately didn't make it as well. Dallas Stars prospect Ty Dellandrea. I thought, between him and Entwistle was kind of debatable, but I understand why they went with Entwistle. Just like I said, he just brings a different dynamic. But Ty Dellandrea was another first-round pick last year who didn't make the team, as well as Flyers prospect Isaac Radcliffe as well. So I think Team Canada did a pretty good job at assembling this team. They have a pretty solid roster, all kinds of different skill sets to give teams different looks. And like I said, I do think they have an excellent shot at repeating as gold medalists. Certainly not a given for sure. There's other teams that can compete as well. It's going to be a very fun tournament. Like I said, I highly recommend you check it out. So again, keep looking out for additional team previews as we approach Boxing Day here and get ready to get the World Junior Championships 2019 underway. So again, down in the comments, let me know what you think of Team Canada's roster, as well as give me your predictions on who you think might win or what teams you think stand the best chance to at least get down to the finals. If you're new to the channel here, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, as well as all these international tournaments. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button for more content just like this, and plenty of other coverage coming up for the World Junior Championships. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.